Hmm.
Riley Christian. That's how I say your name, right? I want to make sure I always say it right.
Yes, Riley Christian. You got it.
Okay, good, good, good. Well, I'm excited to talk to you, especially as a sports and entertainment lawyer, because the official Black magazine is an entertainment and lifestyle publication, and sports and entertainment go hand in hand with all of that. So, I would love to first talk about your background, how you got into it, and then the things you're doing now to, like, really help out Black and Brown people, just people in general, to protect themselves.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me, my brother. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. You all have a wonderful publication, and I'm happy to just be, a part of that. That's number one. Um, and then, about me. I'm an attorney from the east side of Detroit, born and raised. I came to New York City after law school in 2016, and growing up, I always had a passion for sports. My dad put me into sports. And I was playing baseball a lot, you know what I'm saying, when I grew up. And I was fortunate enough to get drafted out of high school by the Philadelphia Phillies. So I was always like in the sport, big on it. And once my career came to an end after college, it's like, what do I want to do? And after being able to navigate the draft process and all that type of stuff, I was like, you know what? Being a sports agent, you know what I'm saying, that would be dope. And then once I got after law school, I was like, you know what? Maybe I could switch it up, a little bit and just be like, I'm saying, the sports attorney. And I'm really passionate about helping. I'm obviously passionate about helping all athletes, but I'm extremely passionate about helping athletes of color because you often see us on the field or on the court, you know what I'm saying, but you rarely see us do things behind the scenes, and people are not always looking out for those individuals. And I think that with my background starting in sports and able to see contracts, and then once I go through law school and do things and look at it, I'm like, okay, wait, these are some things you can try to look out for. You can be protected a little bit, how to manage yourself on and off the field, those type of things. So I'm like, you know what, let me be able to give back, I'm saying, to my community, my people, and I'm able to navigate the system a little bit, help out. So that's always been good.
Nice. I love that. I love that it really stems back to your past and your background. What's something that you've seen that really made you go, I need to be in this area for my people, or just for people in general? You know what I mean? It's always the first thing for our people because we want to give back to our community. But then just thinking like overall, all these people that just like kind of go through the emotions. Our parents put us in these sports, they put us in these things, and we just go. And then you're just like, but they're not protected. They don't even know how to really read those type of contracts. They don't even know how to negotiate. They don't know the manager, agency, team, fees, all those things.
So I think first I'll start with sports and then I'll get to entertainment. With sports, it's like you said, they don't really necessarily always know, what's in the contract. And what I see a lot of times happen is you have these athletes, they're very good, they get these large contracts, and then they don't either read the fine print and know, like, what can happen to them if they do X, Y, and Z. And then they find themselves, in these either money management problems or this is less, I guess, about the contract, but just how you conduct yourself just in general, so you can protect yourself. Um,
Mhm.
that you hang around, the things that you put, on social media, all of that, and kind of building a brand. I like to be there for, people of color so they can really understand the entire process, and not just like, oh, I've signed and now I got a bunch of money and like, I'm good, you
Yeah.
know. So coming up, through sports, I kind of got to see that a lot. And then we take it over to entertainment, where I had this unique opportunity, to go on reality TV, Bachelor in Paradise. And that's where a lot of people, know me from now. But I'm like, I'm so much more than that. You saw me on the beach and you kicking it and all that. But at the end of the day, like, I was an attorney before this, I'm saying? I had a whole career and all that type of stuff going. And then I got to read that contract. And I was like, oh, all right, well, like I see what I'm getting into. And then, after that, it's like, okay, it's very, very difficult for people of color in the reality TV circuit as well to be able to navigate that, to then thrive after that. And then be able to get through the whole situation like mentally. I want to be there like as their partner through it and be like, hey, this is what you're in for. You know, this is what you may experience. This is what you can capitalize on. This is what you can't. Um, and so those are just kind of some of the things that, uh, got me really wanting to be involved in it.
Nice. And then it sounds like you really look at it from a brand protection standpoint, not just looking at it contractually, looking at how the athlete or the entertainer is really capitalizing on their brand, but understanding how to protect it in the long term. Because short term, you may sign up for things, and people say that a lot about like reality TV. They're like, it messed up. It could mess up brand deals if you do the wrong one. You sign away your likeness so they can edit you to look a certain way and certain things like that.
Yeah, so it's about your brand, and I think it's about the brand, but it's more from a perspective of like I want you to be able to do well in the future. I want you to be because your brand is how you're gonna excel as you continue to go. When reality TV is over, when sports is over, who are you?
Mhm.
You know, if it's good, you can really continue to at the end of the day feed yourself. I want people to be able to feed themselves and their family. You don't necessarily have to be because everybody success is subjective, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to, of course, if you want to be a billionaire, yeah, it may be tough to achieve that level of success, you know what I'm saying? But it's not that you can't.
Yeah.
It's like I want you to be able to do the basic things. All of my clients, we can get you a phenomenal career and all of that. But at the end of the day, you can take care of your family. You can take care of yourself. You don't have any problems, where you're living, food, the basic things, and everything else is kind of like the icing on the cake. Because a while back, I think they had an ESPN series, Broke, and it was like a bunch of former athletes who had all of this money, and then now it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, like how do we prevent that? And it's
Mhm.
like, well, somebody like myself, and no, I was never the level of athlete to that caliber, to be talking like that. But like, if I'm able to get in there and guide these athletes in any type of way that could help them keep control of their assets and
Yeah.
putting them in the right in touch with the right financial type of people and guiding them as best I can, I'm all for that. I'm down.
Nice. You reminded me of an interview I just did with Terrell Suggs, like maybe last week, and we were talking about that. And he was breaking it down about people to understand. They think when people get this NFL draft, right? He said you hear, oh, a $50 million deal. He said, but you don't see that like a lump sum of it. He said first you don't. He said, and no one ever really sees that entire amount. And he says then you have to take into account that you're only getting paid when you're on season. He said off season, you better have save your money, but then you still have people to pay. And he was like talking. So it's so funny because he was talking about that. He's like, and then when you guys are sitting here buying things for people, houses and stuff, he's like, then there's property tax. He said, so you have to make sure there's that thing.
And it's hard. It's hard because I mean, people don't go from an 18, 19, 20-year-old does not go from, just being this kid, and then all of a sudden extremely financially disciplined and smart, simply because you just threw $1 million on his lap. No, he's still that same 18, 19-year-old kid, just got a bunch of money. And he's like, let's get to it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like somebody would have gave me 10 million when I was 19, I'd have been like, let's get to it too.
You'd have been on one of the broke stories too, like
You might have seen me right there, like, hey man, like I was in the club and I was letting it loose, like you know what I'm saying, like, hey, you can party, you can have a good time, but you might want to save a little bit of that because them coins, everybody getting a piece. So
when you're looking at those deals, for from entertainment and sports, and I love like and I love what you're in because it's especially it's such a driving economy for our people, right? Like everybody wants it, but then you hear the horror stories. You think of TLC when they go when it was on the radio at that time and broke down everything. Then you hear things about 360 deals, right? What are some of the things you help your clients, or even if they're not going to stay with you long term, right? Someone just let's say I'm like, hey Riley, I want to pay for you to be my consultant, right? What do you make sure that if I was an athlete or if I'm a entertainer and I'm about to sign a brand deal or something, what are the things you look at to make sure that it's equitable for me at the same time as for the brand?
um um I think that for entertainers, I guess I'll start there. If we're talking about, I think I talked about this a little bit ago on my Instagram reel. You know, if you're talking about like signing with labels and stuff like that, you want to get a very good understanding of how you're going to get paid, right? And what you owe and what you got to pay back. So, you know, being able to understand royalties and computate the royalties, know who's getting what, when, where, how, very important. You need to know that. It's a lot of people don't like doing the math. You know,
They just want that check.
but we'll keep it a buck. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm an attorney. You know, that's part of the reason why I'm an attorney. Because I'm like, hey, all this finance stuff, you know, X, Y, and Z. But it's like, that's important. Learn that because they need to know, you know, how they get paid. And then you want to be able to protect yourself in situations where, like I tell artists all the time, you know, or producers, hey, you want to be able to get out of something at the end of the day. You want to be able to protect yourself so you don't have to sit here for 5 years on the shelf. They just decide, you know, not to use you. You want to be like, hey, in a year, if we ain't met X, Y, and Z mark, can I get up out of here? Now, don't get me wrong. Like sometimes, you know, up and coming artists, they have a hard time with bargaining power. Nobody knows you, especially if you're mainstream. You may know who you are. So the label looking at you like, you're gonna sign up or you're gonna get lost. You know, and that's something you gotta really, really consider. But the advantage of today is like everything is so, I mean, the internet is worldwide. You know, you don't necessarily just have to dive into something so ridiculous anymore simply because like you can just keep pumping yourself and pumping yourself. And now that's marketing. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of money, but not as much as you would think. And then you have to have good people around you, you know, that support you and try to, you know, build you up. So those are some of the things I would tell, you know, entertainers. And I'm working with quite a few of those now as it's the practice builds, which is great. You know, for athletes, what do I tell? I think I just want to make sure I'm staying on point with the question. What was the main question
Oh,
again?
just how they make sure that their deals are equitable for them. You know, like it really makes sense for them, even if it's a short-term deal or a long-term deal, be it one campaign to say, hey, we're going to assign you to a 3-year X, Y, and Z endorsement.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for athletes, making sure it's worth it for athletes. I mean, you have to, okay, this is one of the things that I tell athletes. You have to make sure you understand what your value is. And make sure that don't overestimate and don't underestimate either, but don't overestimate your current value, not your potential, but your current, you know, value. And just keep that in mind because sometimes you can feel like you're so great, and then you miss out on opportunities because it's like you asking for the sun, moon, and the stars right now. Not that you ain't gonna be there, because hey, we can see you can ball or whatever. Like, you know, if or in terms of endorsements, like you can ball. Nobody really knows who you are yet. You know, build it up and go have a hell of a season, and then you know what I'm saying. In terms of protecting yourselves, you really just want to again go back to protecting your brand, your image, knowing your worth, and making sure that you don't lock yourself into an endorsement um, that's so long term that you have no flexibility. Exclusivity has always been a huge thing. Make sure that people pay, you know, to have those rights to your name, image, and likeness, and make sure you don't just give it away for the free ball at the end of the day. Like, you know, you don't want to overestimate yourself, but you don't want to sell yourself short. But it takes a whole team to be able to really keep up with all of that. It can be hard for athletes to be like, well, because they try to focus on the game, right?
So they really just like, I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to focus on the game, which is right, which is good. You need to. But I think, you know, picking the right people and having the right people around you that can advise you, um, it's also good. There was something a friend told me, and I'm trying to remember it. It was great advice. Um, she told me that if people don't have good instincts, then you have to have good judgment. If you don't have good judgment, then you need to make sure you have good counsel. And if you don't have good counsel, well, then now you in trouble. Now you in trouble. But you have to be able to, you know what I'm saying, break it down like that. Because sometimes, and I say that in this context, I guess with an athlete, maybe they're instinctually they're like, I don't really know if I should do this deal. You know, let me. My knee jerk reaction is like, I don't really know. So let me sit down, analyze it. Okay, after my analysis, can I make the decision? Do I have good judgment after my analysis? All right, then if I can't do that after my analysis, okay, let me go phone a friend.
Yeah.
You know, you see, you need those people in place in order to be able to protect yourself. Yeah.
No, I like that. It reminds me of this one when I seen this one interview when they talked about when 50 Cent they asked him how do you know if the person's not gonna swindle you or get over on you like a lawyer or something. He says they were like, well, because you don't understand the legal jargon. He said, well, I asked him to break it down. He said I asked him to break it down every time until it's the simplest form till I can understand it, because I don't sign anything I don't understand. I'm not going to rely on someone else to tell me these things, right? And I think it's really great because when you're looking at how you approach these things with your clients and individuals who may just, utilize your services just to know more, that you really focus on helping them understand. Don't, put yourself into something that, my dad used to always say it's very old school, a trick bag, right? Everyone put yourself into those. Because you said something that was really cool about like artists, about making sure you're not stuck on a shelf for 5 years and different things. Can you explain that a little bit? Because a lot of times people don't, and especially, and I'm in Southern California from LA, everybody's wanting that dream, getting the label, indie, all these things, right?
Yeah. So all right, so you got artists, man. Artists get excited in the beginning, especially when you see something from a label, and you should be, because you've been working your ass off, to get your music or whatever it is in front of somebody. And now you've essentially you got that validation that I'm good.
Yeah.
Like my stuff is good. But it's like first, and I'll talk about the 3 Ps in a minute. But you got to be patient, right? Because you need to have these conversations with people and understand exactly what it is you want, and understand what's in this contract and what you're going to be getting out of it. When I talked about not being stuck in something for 5 years, right? So when you go in there and like you don't want to be stuck in something for 5 years, even this is a label and it's all good, but hey, I don't want to give you so much control to where if it doesn't go my way, I can't get out of it. So you approach them and you let them know, like, hey, in 1 year, you want an option essentially to be able to terminate the agreement if we don't hit a certain financial mark or something like that. You can try to negotiate those things into the deal. Now, again, it can be hard for up and coming artists to do that because you don't have much leverage, but that goes back again to knowing your worth and believing in yourself. I think you don't have to just take anything.
Can I stop you right there for a second and to get back in there? Because I think it's a really cool thing. It just made me think about something when you said that, because not even from a financial standpoint, making sure if the label is going to continuously drive you, because you can be stuck in a deal, but within that year, maybe they don't see your value and growth as they initially saw. And then they got another YouTuber who they found out, and they're like, this may be our next Justin Bieber. So we're going to just put Riley on the side, and then we're just going to still have Riley get a certain check or anything. So is that something that you see that can happen sometimes with them?
It could, but at the end of the day, I think everything is business. If you got an artist that's booming, all right, yeah, we're going to push him. And then if they got the next Justin Bieber, we're going to push him too. It ain't going to be no shelf. We're going to both be out here. We're going to be getting money. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? You should see, I guess it was more of a while back, but like you had these groups, you had multiple people from groups dropping. You had, you know what I'm saying, Young Money, you had Wayne, Drake, and Nicki all dropping because they was all hot. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's not simply because it can happen, but it's not simply because somebody else is hot and they want to push them. They will do that. Like, but that's only if yours is not, in my opinion, if yours isn't lucrative, they'll go on to the next thing. And sometimes people have short wits. You know what I'm saying? That you got a short leash because music is so fleeting. It's always on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. Um, so that could be like a new potential artist coming in could be another reason why you want to make sure you have that option. Yes, absolutely. But I highly recommend at least having the conversation about it. Even if you end up not being able to get it, talk about it.
Nice. I love that you know that they may you kind of you not kind of you empower them to understand their own personal power, that every contract isn't worth the contract. Every deal doesn't need to be signed, you know. And so it's great that you have these conversations because some people just want the money, you know. Hey, I'll be a lawyer. Go ahead, do your thing. That's my percentage.
Oh yeah, no, we gotta let them know. I mean, it costs me nothing to. Well, I mean, I like to spread the word. I like to drop the knowledge. I want people to grow. I don't want to grow by myself. I want the people around me. And the better the advice I give somebody, you know what I'm saying, the better for business it is for me at the end of the day. If I'm just shutting everybody down, not really kicking real game, all right, yeah, that's a one-off. I want repeat customers. Come back to me. You know what I'm saying? And if you know, and after being done with me, if you understand every single term in this contract and you never need me again, okay, fine. But I do hope you come back anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanna school you and I want you to know, these technical definitions and all that type of stuff. So nobody can swindle you if I'm not around.
Nice, because as they say, new levels, new devils, right? Because the first time we have a contract, and the more money you get, the more things, more opportunities, the more fine print there is. It's like the more fine print.
Longer and longer. It started as a 3-page deal, now 7 pages, now it's 14 pages, now it's 50 pages. I'm like, okay, but hey, I mean, that's it's good and bad. I mean, if all of that's happening, you're growing, but it brings new problems that, I'm here to help you handle.
Nice. I love that. Now, I touched on a little bit of your passion in your journey into this, right? And we've also got a lot about who you are as a lawyer, as an attorney, your passion for the people, just as clients. For you, how has it been for you to navigate in this space as a Black man? Because we never really hear about I don't want to say the plight or things that Black lawyers go through. We hear about everything else. We just feel like all lawyers just hate the long hours and go through a lot. But how is it being a Black man as a lawyer?
Wow, being a Black man as a lawyer, it can be challenging. Put it like that. I mean, oftentimes when I walk into a courtroom, it's I may be the only one in the room that looks like me. Oftentimes, well, I won't say oftentimes, but sometimes I can even be in full suit, tie, ready to go. Tie choking my neck so hard it's on. You know what I'm saying? But the judge still is addressing me as a defendant and not, the lawyer.
Oh,
So
wow.
challenging, yeah, that's happened, and I was like, damn, judge, like, okay, but hey, but I understand the arena that I'm in.
Yeah.
Uh, it can be mentally draining. And then also, you know, it can be a situation where there's a cultural difference. And so emotionally, I may feel differently about certain things than my colleagues. When the George Floyd situation is happening, maybe my colleagues don't care as much. When I'm like, oh hell no. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I'm frustrated about it. And you want, your law firm to be able to understand, to acknowledge the fact that these type of things are happening in the community because it really does affect us. But it's like, as a Black man, when something like the George Floyd incident is happening, which was tragic, I still have to be able to do my job, even though, I'm grieving, my entire community is grieving. But majority of my colleagues are not feeling that same emotional strain and toll.
Mhm.
And just, little nuances in court and trying to be able to get a message across and understand why a certain client behaved a certain way in a situation. Sometimes the judge may not understand, but this is part of the reason why I do it, because I'm like, all right, I'm from the east side of Detroit. I may understand why this particular individual was emotional and frustrated about this thing.
Yeah.
And they may not know how to articulate it because they're emotional right now. They're frustrated, they're angry or whatever. And so then I'm here to be that segue.
Yeah.
Let me explain it to the judge in a way that the judge will understand, because I know exactly where you're coming from, my brother, my sister. You know what I'm saying? So like it can be challenging in that way, but it's also rewarding.
Yeah.
I know that there are not a lot of people that look like me. I know that when I walk in the room, no matter what I do, I'm gonna stand out. I don't
Yeah.
have to say a word, and I'm gonna stand out. So no, no, no. So I definitely can't do anything foolish.
Yeah.
Not that I ever would, but it's just like, hey, people will notice when I'm there, and if I'm speaking well, sometimes I get frustrated because they'll say, "Oh, well, you're so well spoken," and I'm like, "How the hell am I supposed to sound?"
Which I was expecting.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right, right. What were you expecting to come out of? I'm an attorney. Like, this is how I actually sound just like him. But he does nothing like me. But like, those little things. But again, it's you talked about the black plight. It's just constantly knocking down those stereotypes, constantly knocking down those barriers, and handling yourself in such a way that reflects positively on the black community. Because even though it may not be fair, I understand what I represent and who I represent, no
Yeah.
matter. And my colleagues who are not of color, they don't have to go through something like that. They're gonna come in and go out. You may not even notice them, But if I do something, it's like, oh well, it's just how brothers act. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. I'm like, nah, see, that's not the case. So I'm always cognizant of the people I represent.
Nice. I love that. It sounds like with your journey or with even in the position you're in, there's always that type of I don't want to say the weight of the community on your shoulders, but it definitely is that like this weight where because I represent you all in spaces that some of them aren't privy to. So you don't even have the luxury to be the 100% that Riley can be, because you can't, somebody else gets angry if they're Italian. They'd be like, oh, that's just him. That's Vinny. But if Riley does it, oh, that's a little ghetto right now. You'd be like, wow, it's crazy.
That is crazy, and you know what? That trying to protect yourself from being the quote unquote angry black man, or whatever stereotype, or ghetto or hoods, like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I am from the east side of Detroit, off in like, you know what I'm saying? This is me. And the fact that I talk with a little accent, ain't gonna change the fact that I am just as good, if not better, than the non-person of color standing next to me. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I try not to forget that too. And I'm just like, hey, you will have your perceptions of me no matter what at the end of the day. So it's kind of like a balance. We talk a lot. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, code switching. You know what I'm saying? We didn't talk about code switching. You got to do what you got to do. And I think that's a skill that everyone should have. People, I think a lot of people that I've spoken with, they don't like to do it. I don't like to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to do it either. Like, to keep it a buck, like, I don't. But people on the other side, it's a culture thing. People on the other side, sometimes they for one, we like to feel comfortable with each other. Not that I'm just doing things to make, other people feel comfortable. No, but it's like, okay, this is when I bring somebody in my cultural space and we whatever, you know what I'm saying? I want you to feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? I come in, we doing what we doing. Um, and then two, I also know that I represent a client.
Yeah.
As I represent a client, this is not about me. Okay. This is about who I'm representing. And I am not about to ruin any chances or opportunities because Riley want to be Riley today. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Come in there, all business, and that's it, and go about it. So make sure your client is getting what they need.
I love that you said I'm not following this opportunity because Riley want to be Riley today.
No. Like, however I feel it. Not that, not in Riley, I think all facets of me are good. I'm saying. But like, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I don't think that I would ever do anything that would just like, even in my free time, that was just like, oh wow, like no.
Yeah.
But it's just like at the end of the day, you still understand again. You're here to job and you represent somebody else.
I love that. Last question before we go, because I want to be cognizant of our time. We're a little over, but I'm really enjoying this with you. You were on a reality TV show, right? And you have gained a really great social presence. What's something that you've seen? Because now in this day and age, everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to get the blue check. Everybody kind of wants to get what you've done. You've been on there, you know what I mean? What is something that you see that you want like this generation to know about reality TV, social media? You use it as a tool, but
Mhm.
a lot of people think it's like the only way to, you know what I mean? Like they think it's the end all to be all rather than like, this is a tool and I have a toolbox with other tools.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you mentioned that I was on reality TV. And I was, and I got to lean into that a little bit because that's how people know me. But after that, and you see people. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying people want to have, but I have. I ain't like, yeah, hey, listen, it might not even be all this cracked up to be. Just for you know what I'm saying. Not really about it either. I was fortunate enough to be, you know, I'm fortunate to be in this position. I understand that,
Yeah.
but it is social media is always. If I would tell somebody, you treat social media as your side hustle. Don't treat social media as your main job. Have a main skill. Being an influencer, and all that other stuff. It can be great if you have a mass of people that you can inspire or whatever you want to do. That is great, but don't look at it as your end all be all because if Instagram decides to go away tomorrow, what do you got? It's all over for you.
Yep.
As quickly as it came, it can go. If we lose the internet, what can you do?
Yeah.
Nothing. So it's like, hey, don't focus too much on this as one thing. Make it a part of your entire brand. Social media is very important. Do not get me wrong. It is a very useful tool to either market yourself if you're an athlete or an entertainer or whoever you are. If you're just trying to spread an inspirational message, all of that, it's part of your brand. When somebody Googles you, Instagram is like the first thing that comes up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, boom, use it, but don't just get caught in just that. It's only a part of you. It's people are only posting their highlights, never their failures. Don't start to feel like, oh man, I gotta post more, do more, say more because this person is doing. No, trust me, if you are a genuine person, and I can't believe I'm about to say this because it's a theme on a reality show, doing things for the right reasons. I can't believe you know what I'm saying? Like good things will happen to you and people resonate with that. Trust me, you do not have to try too hard to be out here up on social media. Just do you.
Nice. Thank you. This has been amazing. And before we go,
What's up?
what are three things that we should all look for in a contract to make sure that we at least are covering our basics? What are
Dude,
these three things?
what are three things right now? Right. Oh, so you asking for free legal advice is what you asked me for.
No,
So
I'm not asking for free legal advice. I didn't say for an official black magazine. I'm just saying for what people do. I'm trying to get people to get some. You can look. You can do us a sample flavor. You can say, look, the three P's, and that's it.
I'm gonna drop them. I'm gonna drop them with the three P's. Actually,
Come
listen.
with the three P's.
I call them the three P's, right? So for every artist who wants to have a career in entertainment, I tell them first and foremost, be patient. We talked about that. Every artist gets excited about some type of deal that comes in their face. Don't get, I mean, it's great. You should be excited, but they came to you because you are good. If they say something is urgent, then you urgently call your attorney. Do not sign right away. Okay.
I love that. Urgently call.
It's at the end of the day, these deals don't happen overnight. They take time. So it's like, well, you signed and now nothing has happened for the next 6 months. They just got you on the dotted line. You know what I'm saying? Be patient. Number two, prepare. Know what you want when you come in. Get things in writing. Again, talk to your attorney. Make sure you know the lingo, all of that. If you want your attorney to be present, and they should be, in my opinion, tell them to come through. Do all of that. Lastly, be professional. Remember that you are a business. You're an artist, but you're a business artist. Or like a lot of times they don't want to be business people. They don't want to handle it. No, the way you come in is how they are going to treat you. If you come in about your business, or treat you like a business person. If you come in all willy-nilly and if you come in and you don't really care about the fine print or what's in on the contract or how you conduct yourself or how you dress or whatever, and don't get me when I say how you dress, like you, like your image and what you're doing. I'm not saying you got to all of a sudden go to a business meeting. Now you got to have a tie choking your neck. Please don't. That is not why they came out of you. Please don't. Don't need it. And people start thinking that they're like, oh, well, what do I do? No, they like you for you. And if they don't, trust me, this ain't gonna be the place. We're gonna see when we get up in there. But be professional in the way you conduct yourself. And you will set yourself up to have a solid, well, you'll set yourself up to have a career in entertainment. That's what I.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. This has been great. Look, I've enjoyed myself. I hope you enjoyed yourself too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for real. Thank you so much.